And I'd like to follow up really on my good friend, the ranking member's question in regards to feeling threatened, intimidated, and bullied. Mr. Lowry, when the BLM came to you and said that only the United States can hold a water right on federal land and that you must withdraw your claim, did you feel a little bullied, intimidated, and threatened?
I felt intimidated walking into that room, a room full of Justice Department attorneys, BLM personnel who had been dedicated to trying to obtain those water rights in the adjudication, and being told that we had no position, no legal position to hold a water right, that we were mere permittees there at the permission of the United States government and had no rights. The only thing is I didn't feel too intimidated because I knew what my rights were. I knew what the congressional policy had been since the mid-1860s, and I knew what the court decisions, including the U.S. versus New Mexico, had said. So I knew going in what my rights were, but the pressure was applied.
That's a good part about being a Westerner, a little harder to be able to intimidate. I saw Mr. Valdez nodding his head up and down as well. Just for clarification, private property rights, water rights in the western United States, you own them. How much was the federal government willing to compensate you for those water rights?
They were not willing to compensate anything.
So the federal government can just jump in, take your private property rights, take your water rights that you paid for, you've developed, with no compensation. That's their opinion.
That was the course they were taking and what was being attempted, yes.
Okay. Mr. Robinson, how intimidated, bullied have you, well, you aren't intimidated, I can tell, but bullied and threatened have you felt?
Well, actually I came from Alabama originally, and I really thought that the government, I'd worked with the Farm Services, I thought they were looking out for my best interest. I learned differently when I got to Wyoming that was not the case. Let me just say, as far as intimidation, I've got the actual quotes from sworn testimony from 2 employees, Leon, saying, I think I finally got a way to get his permits and get him out of business. And Perotti, which testified on my behalf, states that he was a BLM employee, also states that this statement became a daily admission of Leon and an attitude shared by the other defendants in the case. So when they make their mind up to go after someone, they can certainly intimidate you, and it comes from every area and every power within government.
Well, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, again, thank you for holding this hearing. I think that from the testimony that we have heard today. Yes, sir. Mr. Lowry, do you have one more comment?
If I could, Congressman, I would like to add seriously that it was quite intimidating, and that is evidenced by the fact that of all the ranchers that filed for their stockwater rights in the Snake River Basin adjudication, as I mentioned in my testimony, only 2 of us went through to the end. The rest could not, or felt they could not, because of the overwhelming disparity in the resources between themselves and the United States government to defend their rights. And they have lost their rights in the Snake River Basin adjudication because they could not and would not, and I understand their position.
Mr. Lowry, I think that's ultimately very important to be able to note because this is just not a Forest Service water grab, it is a BLM water grab in the West. That's the lifeblood of the Western United States, and I will certainly take issue with anyone who feels that our ranchers who have those BLM permits on Forest Service lands, they're some of the best custodians, actually, of our public lands, going in and supporting those who value the environment. Nobody but our farmers and ranchers value it more. So I thank you again for holding this hearing, and I thank all of you for taking the time to be able to be here.